Day 30. The journey continues. 30 days ago, you began this journey with a simple intention: to better understand yourself, challenge the patterns that were holding you back, and develop a mindset capable of supporting the life you truly want to create. At the time, the distance between where you were and where you hope to be may have seemed significant. Like many people who begin a process of personal growth, you may have been searching for answers, looking for clarity, or hoping to discover the key that would finally unlock lasting change. Now, having reached the final chapter, you have probably realized something important. Meaningful transformation rarely comes from discovering a single secret. It comes from understanding yourself more honestly. Throughout this book, we have explored a wide range of ideas. We examined limiting beliefs and the hidden assumptions that influence behavior. We discussed self-awareness, confidence, discipline, consistency, responsibility, resilience, habits, relationships, and many of the psychological forces that quietly shape daily decisions. Although each chapter focused on a different subject, they were all connected by a common theme. Lasting change begins when awareness turns into action. Many people spend years consuming information about personal development without experiencing meaningful growth. They read books, watch videos, listen to podcasts, and attend seminars. For a short period of time, they feel inspired, motivated, and optimistic about the future. Yet eventually, the excitement fades, daily responsibilities return, and familiar patterns reappear. The problem is rarely a lack of knowledge. Most people already know far more than they consistently apply. They know exercise is beneficial. They know healthy relationships require communication. They know financial stability requires thoughtful decisions. They know confidence grows through action. They know discipline matters more than motivation. The challenge is not information. The challenge is integration. Real growth occurs when an idea moves from intellectual understanding into daily behavior. It happens when a person stops merely agreeing with a principle and begins living according to it. This process is often slower than people expect, which is one reason so many abandon it prematurely. Human beings are naturally attracted to dramatic change. We enjoy stories of sudden breakthroughs because they are exciting and memorable. Gradual transformation rarely receives the same attention because it lacks the drama of a single defining moment. Yet when we examine the lives of people who have created meaningful change, we often find a different story. Most transformations occur quietly. A person begins speaking to themselves differently. They become slightly more disciplined. They make healthier decisions more consistently. They start taking responsibility where they previously made excuses. They develop greater patience with the process of growth. At first, these changes seem small. Over time, they begin influencing every area of life. One of the most valuable lessons to carry forward from this journey is that personal growth is not a destination. It is a practice. Many people approach self-improvement as though there is a finish line waiting somewhere in the future. They imagine a day when they will finally become confident enough, disciplined enough, successful enough, or emotionally resilient enough. Once that day arrives, they believe the work will be complete. Life rarely works this way. Growth is not something that happens once. It is something that continues. Every new stage of life introduces new challenges. New responsibilities create new opportunities for learning. New goals reveal new limitations that need to be addressed. The person you become next year will encounter questions that the person you are today cannot fully anticipate. This is not a problem. It is simply part of being human. The objective is not to become perfect. The objective is to remain willing to grow. This perspective removes much of the pressure that people place on themselves. Instead of constantly judging progress according to an idealized future version of themselves, they begin appreciating the process itself. They recognize that mistakes are inevitable, setbacks are normal, and periods of uncertainty are unavoidable. What matters is not whether challenges appear. What matters is how you respond when they do. If there is one idea I hope remains with you after closing this book, it is this: your life is shaped far more by repeated choices than by isolated moments. The person you become over the next 5 years will largely be determined by habits that seem ordinary today. The conversations you have, the standards you maintain, the actions you repeat, and the beliefs you reinforce will gradually influence the direction of your life. This can feel intimidating when viewed from one perspective. It can also feel incredibly empowering. If small choices have the power to move life in one direction, they also have the power to move it in another. You do not need to change everything at once. You do not need to become a completely different person overnight. You do not need to wait for perfect conditions. You simply need to continue making decisions that align with the person you want to become. Some days this will feel easy. Other days it will not. There will be periods of momentum and periods of frustration. There will be moments when progress seems obvious and moments when growth feels invisible. There will be times when old habits attempt to reassert themselves and times when doubt returns unexpectedly. None of this means you are failing. It means you are participating in the process. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that growth should eventually eliminate struggle. In reality, growth often changes the nature of struggle rather than removing it. The challenges evolve as you evolve. The questions become different. The lessons become more nuanced. What remains constant is the opportunity to learn from the experience. Perhaps this is why curiosity is such a valuable quality. A curious person remains open to learning. They do not assume they have everything figured out. They remain willing to question assumptions, examine behaviors, and adjust their approach when necessary. This mindset creates continual development because it keeps the door to growth permanently open. As you move forward from this book, I would encourage you not to think of today as an ending. Think of it as a transition. The previous 30 days were an opportunity to reflect, learn, and develop greater awareness. The next chapter begins when those insights are applied to real life. It begins in ordinary moments, during everyday decisions, in conversations, habits, setbacks, opportunities, and responsibilities. That is where growth ultimately proves its value. Not in theory, not in reflection alone, but in practice. Years from now, it is unlikely that you will remember every chapter, every example, or every reflection exercise contained in these pages. What you will remember are the lessons that became part of your life, the beliefs you changed, the habits you built, the standards you raised, the decisions you made differently because you understood yourself more clearly. Those changes are the true purpose of personal development, not temporary inspiration, not short-term motivation, but lasting transformation. As you close this book, remember that the person you are becoming is shaped every day by what you choose to think, what you choose to believe, and what you choose to do. The journey is not over. In many ways, it is only beginning. Final reflection questions. 1. What lesson from this book has had the greatest impact on you? 2. Which habit or belief do you most want to continue developing? 3. What area of your life deserves greater attention during the next 6 months? 4. What kind of person do you want to become over the next 5 years? 5. What is the first step you can take today toward that future? Final action step. Create a personal commitment statement for the next 90 days. Write down the habits, values, and behaviors you want to strengthen, along with the specific actions you will take to support them. Keep this commitment somewhere visible and review it regularly. Final success. Affirmation. I am committed to lifelong growth. I learn from my experiences, take responsibility for my choices, and continue becoming the person I am capable of being. Every day is an opportunity to move forward with greater awareness, purpose, and intention. Closing credits. Thank you for reading The Mindset Shift, 30 Days to Stop Holding Yourself Back and Create Lasting Success. If you have reached this page, you have already done something many people never do. You have invested time in examining your thoughts, questioning old assumptions, and reflecting on the habits and beliefs that influence your life. Whether you completed this journey in 30 days, 30 weeks, or simply moved through it at your own pace, the fact that you reached the end is worth acknowledging. The purpose of this book was never to provide a perfect formula for success. Human beings are too complex for simple formulas, and every person's path is shaped by unique experiences, circumstances, strengths, and challenges. Instead, the goal was to offer a framework for thinking differently about yourself and your potential, while encouraging a more conscious approach to personal growth. Throughout these chapters, we explored a simple but powerful idea. Many of the barriers that limit our progress are not found in the outside world, but in the beliefs, assumptions, habits, and stories we carry within us. These patterns are often invisible because they have been with us for so long. They become part of our identity, part of the way we interpret reality, and part of the lens through which we view our future. Yet, as you have seen throughout this journey, awareness creates choice. The moment you become aware of a limiting belief, you gain the opportunity to challenge it. The moment you recognize a self-defeating habit, you gain the opportunity to replace it. The moment you stop treating your past as a prediction of your future, new possibilities begin to emerge. Personal growth is rarely dramatic while it is happening. More often, it unfolds quietly through small decisions that seem insignificant at the time. A different thought, a healthier response, a difficult conversation, a commitment honored, a fear faced, a habit repeated. These moments rarely attract attention, yet they gradually shape the direction of a life. If there is one message worth carrying forward from this book, it is that meaningful change remains possible for longer than most people believe. Regardless of your age, your background, your previous mistakes, or your current circumstances, growth remains available as long as you remain willing to learn. The future is not created in a single moment. It is created through the choices you make repeatedly, especially when nobody is watching. As you move forward, there will undoubtedly be times when old habits return, when motivation fades, or when progress feels slower than expected. This is not evidence that you have failed. It is evidence that you are human. Growth has never been a straight line, and the people who create lasting change are rarely those who never struggle. More often, they are the people who continue returning to the path whenever they drift away from it. Wherever life takes you next, I hope the ideas contained in these pages continue to serve as useful reminders. Not reminders that you must become someone else, but reminders that you are capable of becoming a more intentional, self-aware, resilient, and authentic version of yourself. Thank you for allowing this book to be part of your journey. The next chapter belongs to you. About the author. L.C. Dragan. L.C. Dragan writes about personal growth, mindset, self-awareness, and the psychological patterns that influence human behavior. His work focuses on helping readers understand themselves more deeply, challenge limiting beliefs, and create meaningful change through practical reflection and consistent action. The end. Copyright page. The Mindset Shift. 30 Days to Stop Holding Yourself Back and Create Lasting Success. Copyright 2026. By L.C. Dragan. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, distributed, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission from the copyright owner, except in the case of brief quotations used in reviews or scholarly works. This book is a work of personal development and self-improvement. The views and opinions expressed are those of the author and are intended for educational and informational purposes only. Published independently by L.C. Dragan. First edition, 2026. Disclaimer. The information contained in this book is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The author makes no guarantees regarding specific outcomes, results, or achievements that may arise from applying the ideas, principles, or strategies discussed in this book. Personal growth is a highly individual process, and results will vary depending on personal circumstances, effort, commitment, and numerous external factors. This book is not intended to replace professional medical, psychological, legal, financial, or other professional advice. Readers should seek qualified professional guidance when appropriate. By reading this book, you acknowledge that you are solely responsible for your own decisions, actions, and results. The author and publisher disclaim any liability for any direct or indirect consequences arising from the use or application of the information presented in this book. Dedication. To everyone who has ever felt capable of more than the life they were currently living. To those who have questioned themselves, doubted their abilities, struggled with fear, procrastination, or self-limiting beliefs, yet continued searching for a better path forward. And to those who understand that meaningful change rarely happens overnight, but through the small decisions made every day. May this book remind you that growth remains possible, no matter where you begin.